Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Large corpus in discourse analysis. A large corpus in discourse analysis refers to an extensive collection of texts, whether written, spoken, or multimodal, used to study language patterns, discursive strategies, and linguistic features. A corpus can include anything from media articles, political speeches, and academic texts to social media posts, interviews, or everyday conversations. By working with large corpora, discourse analysts are able to identify broader trends in language use, reveal recurring themes, and make connections between language and social phenomena. The use of large corpora in discourse analysis allows researchers to combine qualitative insights with quantitative analysis, offering a more comprehensive understanding of discourse patterns across diverse texts. This approach enables researchers to uncover patterns that may not be visible when examining smaller datasets, making it especially useful for identifying the relationships between language, ideology, identity, and power in large-scale societal discourses. Importance of using a large corpus in discourse analysis. The use of a large corpus in discourse analysis offers several significant advantages, particularly when studying broad social, political, or cultural phenomena. Large corpora provide a wealth of linguistic data that can be systematically analyzed to identify patterns, trends, and variations in language use. Point 1. Identifying broader patterns. A large corpus allows researchers to detect wider patterns in discourse that may not emerge from smaller datasets. These patterns might include the repetition of certain discursive strategies, the prevalence of specific themes, or the consistent framing of issues across multiple contexts. Example: in a large corpus of media articles about immigration, a researcher might identify a consistent framing of immigrants as threats or burdens, revealing how this narrative shapes public perceptions and policy debates over time and across different media outlets. Point 2. Examining discursive variation. By analyzing a large corpus, discourse analysts can explore variation in language use across different genres, contexts, or social groups. This enables the identification of subtle shifts in discourse, showing how language is adapted to different audiences or purposes. Example: a researcher studying political speeches may find that certain discursive strategies, such as appeals to national identity, are more prominent in speeches aimed at rural voters compared to urban audiences. A large corpus allows the researcher to examine these variations in detail, supporting more nuanced interpretations of the data. Point 3. Enhancing validity and generalizability. While discourse analysis is often focused on specific contexts, using a large corpus enhances the validity and generalizability of findings. With a larger dataset, researchers can be more confident that the patterns they identify reflect broader discursive practices, rather than being isolated to a small sample of texts. Example: if a discourse analyst is studying gender representations in advertising, analyzing a large corpus of advertisements across different industries and media platforms can offer a more robust understanding of how gender is portrayed in contemporary marketing, making the findings more representative of broader trends. Point 4. Combining quantitative and qualitative approaches. A large corpus allows researchers to combine quantitative methods, such as frequency analysis or collocation analysis, with qualitative analysis to explore both the macro-level patterns and micro-level nuances of discourse. This mixed methods approach enhances the depth of the analysis by providing statistical evidence to support qualitative interpretations. Example: in analyzing climate change discourse, a researcher could use quantitative methods to determine the most frequently occurring terms, such as crisis or global warming, and then conduct qualitative analysis to explore how these terms are used to frame the issue in specific contexts, such as political debates or media coverage. Methods for analyzing large corpora in discourse analysis. When working with large corpora, discourse analysts use various tools and techniques to systematically examine the data. These methods often involve computational tools for analyzing large datasets while retaining the qualitative focus on meaning and context. Point 1. Frequency analysis. Frequency analysis involves counting how often specific words, phrases, or linguistic features appear in a corpus. This method helps identify which terms are emphasized or marginalized in a given discourse. Frequency analysis can be especially useful for detecting dominant themes or identifying words that carry ideological significance. Example: in a large corpus of corporate reports, a frequency analysis might reveal that terms like sustainability or corporate responsibility appear far more frequently than profit or shareholder value, indicating a shift in how companies frame their priorities. Point 2. Collocation analysis. Collocation analysis examines the frequency with which certain words appear together in the corpus. This method is particularly useful for uncovering how ideas are linked and how certain concepts are framed in relation to one another. Example: in a corpus of news articles on terrorism, collocation analysis might reveal that the term Islam frequently appears with words like radical or extremist, suggesting a discursive pattern that associates Islam with terrorism, reinforcing specific ideological frames. Point 3. Concordance analysis. A concordance analysis provides a list of all occurrences of a specific word or phrase in a corpus, along with the surrounding text. This allows researchers to examine the contexts in which a term is used, revealing how its meaning and function vary depending on the context. Example: in a corpus of political speeches, a concordance analysis of the word freedom might show that it is used in various contexts, such as economic freedom, freedom from oppression, or freedom of speech, each with different ideological implications. Point 4. Keenness analysis. Keenness analysis compares the frequency of words in one corpus with their frequency in a reference corpus, identifying words that are unusually frequent, or infrequent, in the target corpus. This technique is useful for understanding which words are particularly important or characteristic of a particular discourse. Example: in an analysis of media coverage of refugee crises, a keenness analysis might reveal that words like flood or wave are far more frequent in the media corpus than in general news reporting, indicating a tendency to frame refugees as an overwhelming force. Point 5. Corpus-based critical discourse analysis, CDA. When combined with critical discourse analysis, CDA, large corpora can be used to explore how language reflects and perpetuates power relations and ideologies. Corpus-based CDA focuses on how patterns of language use in large datasets align with social, political, or economic interests, revealing the subtle ways in which discourse maintains or challenges dominance. Example: in a corpus of economic reports, a corpus-based CDA might investigate how neoliberal ideologies are embedded in language, identifying how terms like efficiency or competitiveness are used to frame economic policies in ways that support free market capitalism. Examples of large corpus in discourse analysis. Example 1. Political discourse on immigration. A researcher analyzing a large corpus of political speeches and media coverage about immigration might use frequency and collocation analysis to examine how immigrants are portrayed. The analysis might reveal recurring themes, such as the frequent association of immigrants with crime or economic burden, and identify shifts in discourse over time, reflecting changes in political attitudes or policy. Example 2. Gender discourse in social media. A discourse analyst studying gender representation on social media platforms could create a large corpus of posts from Twitter or Instagram, focusing on hashtags related to feminism or gender equality. By applying statistical methods such as sentiment analysis or collocation analysis, the researcher could explore how gender-related topics are discussed, identifying patterns in how gender norms are reinforced or challenged across different social groups. Example 3. Environmental discourse in global media. A large corpus of global media articles on climate change might reveal regional differences in how the issue is framed. Through corpus-based analysis, a researcher could identify how the discourse on climate change varies between countries, with some media outlets emphasizing economic impacts, while others focus on environmental justice or international responsibility. The findings would highlight how cultural and political factors shape environmental discourse worldwide. Challenges of using large corpora in discourse analysis. While large corpora offer valuable insights, there are several challenges associated with using them in discourse analysis. 1. Loss of context. One of the main limitations of working with large corpora is the potential for loss of context. While quantitative methods like frequency and collocation analysis can reveal general patterns, they may overlook the subtleties and complexities of language use in specific contexts. Discourse analysis requires close attention to how meaning is constructed in particular settings, and large datasets can make it difficult to capture these nuances. Example: in analyzing a large corpus of social media posts on mental health, frequency analysis might show that certain terms like depression and therapy appear frequently, but without contextual analysis, it may be unclear whether these terms are used in supportive, critical, or neutral ways. Point 2. Data overload. A large corpus can contain vast amounts of data, making it challenging for researchers to manage and analyze the dataset comprehensively. While computational tools can assist in processing large corpora, there is a risk of overlooking important qualitative insights when dealing with so much information. Example: a corpus of thousands of tweets about a social movement like #MeToo might provide rich data on gender and power dynamics, but the sheer volume of data can make it difficult for researchers to dig deep into the nuances of individual conversations. Point 3. Representativeness. Ensuring that a large corpus is representative of the discourse being studied is another challenge. A corpus must accurately reflect the diversity of voices, contexts, and genres involved in the discourse, which can be difficult when working with large, heterogeneous datasets. Example: if a researcher builds a corpus of news articles about climate change, it's important to ensure that the corpus includes a variety of sources, including those with different political orientations, to avoid skewing the results toward a particular ideological perspective. Best practices for working with large corpora in discourse analysis. To mitigate these challenges, researchers can follow several best practices when working with large corpora in discourse analysis. 1. Combining quantitative and qualitative methods. To maintain the richness of discourse analysis, researchers should combine quantitative methods, such as frequency or collocation analysis, with qualitative interpretation. This ensures that patterns identified in the data are grounded in a deeper understanding of the context and meaning of the discourse. Example: after conducting a frequency analysis to identify common terms in climate change discourse, a researcher might return to the data and conduct a close reading of key texts to explore how these terms are used in context, ensuring that quantitative findings are meaningfully interpreted. Point 2. Careful corpus design. When building a large corpus, researchers should ensure that the dataset is representative of the discourse they wish to study. This involves selecting texts from diverse sources and ensuring that the corpus reflects different genres, registers, and social contexts. Example: a corpus studying discourse on mental health might include a mix of personal blogs, news articles, social media posts, and medical literature, ensuring a wide range of perspectives and language practices. 3. Using specialized tools. To handle large datasets efficiently, researchers should use specialized computational tools and software designed for corpus analysis, such as ant-conc, SketchEngine, or InVivo. These tools make it easier to analyze vast amounts of data while retaining the ability to focus on specific features or patterns. Example: a researcher using SketchEngine to analyze political speeches could quickly identify frequent phrases or collocations across thousands of speeches, making it easier to detect trends in political rhetoric. Conclusion: using a large corpus in discourse analysis allows researchers to explore broad patterns and relationships within language, revealing how discourse reflects and shapes social, political, and cultural phenomena. By combining quantitative methods such as frequency, collocation, and concordance analysis with qualitative interpretation, discourse analysts can uncover important insights into how language is used across diverse contexts. Despite challenges like data overload and potential loss of context, the careful design and analysis of large corpora can provide a powerful tool for understanding the complexities of discourse on a macro scale, contributing to broader theoretical and practical understandings of language in society. Frequently asked questions. What is a large corpus in discourse analysis? A large corpus in discourse analysis is an extensive collection of texts, whether written, spoken, or multimodal, used to study patterns, strategies, and linguistic features in discourse. It can include various sources, such as media articles, political speeches, interviews, social media posts, and everyday conversations, providing a comprehensive dataset to analyze how language operates across different contexts. Why is a large corpus important in discourse analysis? Using a large corpus enables researchers to identify broader patterns and recurring themes in discourse that may not be evident in smaller datasets. It enhances the validity and generalizability of findings, allows for the examination of discursive variation across different contexts, and supports the integration of both quantitative and qualitative analysis, offering a richer and more nuanced understanding of language use. How does a large corpus help in identifying discursive patterns? A large corpus provides a wealth of linguistic data, making it easier to detect recurring patterns, such as the use of specific phrases, discursive strategies, or themes. For example, by analyzing a large corpus of media coverage on immigration, researchers can identify how certain narratives, such as framing immigrants as threats or burdens, are consistently constructed across different outlets over time. What are some common methods used to analyze a large corpus? Several methods are commonly used in analyzing large corpora in discourse analysis, including frequency analysis, counting the occurrences of specific words or phrases to identify dominant themes; collocation analysis, examining how frequently certain words appear together, revealing how ideas are linked; concordance analysis, exploring the context in which specific words or phrases appear in the text; keyness analysis, comparing word frequency in one corpus to a reference corpus to identify distinctive language features; corpus-based critical discourse analysis, CDA, examining how language reflects and maintains power relations and ideologies. What is the role of collocation analysis in working with large corpora? Collocation analysis in large corpora helps to uncover patterns in how words and ideas are linked. By analyzing which terms frequently co-occur, researchers can reveal how concepts are framed in discourse. For instance, in analyzing a corpus of terrorism-related media reports, collocation analysis might show that the word Islam often appears with radical, suggesting a discursive pattern that reinforces specific ideological frames. How does using a large corpus enhance generalizability in discourse analysis? A large corpus improves the generalizability of findings by providing a more comprehensive representation of the discourse being studied. By analyzing texts from diverse sources, genres, and contexts, researchers can make more confident claims about broader discursive trends. For example, studying a large corpus of gender representations across different forms of media can provide a more accurate picture of how gender is framed in contemporary culture. What challenges come with using a large corpus in discourse analysis? The main challenges include loss of context. Large datasets may obscure the subtleties and complexities of specific language use, as quantitative methods like frequency counts might miss the deeper meanings behind linguistic patterns. Data overload. Handling vast amounts of data can be overwhelming, potentially leading to important qualitative insights being overlooked. Representativeness. Ensuring that a corpus accurately reflects the diversity of voices and contexts involved in the discourse is crucial for valid analysis. How can the loss of context in large corpus analysis be mitigated? Researchers can mitigate the loss of context by combining quantitative methods, like frequency and collocation analysis, with qualitative approaches. This mixed methods approach ensures that patterns identified in the data are meaningfully interpreted in context. For example, after identifying frequently used terms in environmental discourse, a researcher can conduct a close reading of key texts to explore how these terms are used in specific contexts. What are best practices for working with large corpora? Best practices for working with large corpora include combining quantitative and qualitative methods, using computational tools to detect patterns, followed by qualitative analysis to interpret the meaning of those patterns. Careful corpus design. Ensuring the corpus is representative of the discourse by including texts from diverse sources, genres, and contexts. Using specialized tools. utilizing software like Ant-Conc, Sketch Engine, or in vivo to efficiently analyze large datasets while preserving a focus on specific patterns or features. How does using larger corpora contribute to corpus-based critical discourse analysis, CDA? Corpus-based CDA allows researchers to explore how language in large datasets reflects power relations and ideologies. By analyzing patterns of language use, such as how terms are framed or the discursive strategies used, researchers can reveal how discourse supports or challenges dominant ideologies. For example, a large corpus of corporate reports may show how language promotes neoliberal ideologies by frequently using terms like efficiency or competitiveness. Can statistical methods be used in large corpus discourse analysis? Yes, statistical methods such as frequency analysis, collocation analysis, and keenness analysis are often used in large corpus discourse analysis. These methods help to quantify linguistic patterns, making it easier to detect trends in language use, identify dominant themes, and understand how ideas are framed in discourse. How can large corpora be used to compare discourse across contexts? Researchers can use large corpora to compare how discourse varies across different social, political, or cultural contexts. For instance, a researcher might compare climate change discourse in the media of different countries to see how the issue is framed in various regions, revealing cultural or political differences in how environmental issues are discussed.